It's Brandon Lewis here with a notice, a warning, if you will, that you should never take advice from the paint store, and I'll tell you why. After you've done something 2,500, 2,700 times, in this case, diagnostics, you hear very similar, repetitious refrains. And one that I often hear is, well, everyone at the paint store says you got to charge this. Everybody at the paint store says that doesn't work. Everyone in the paint store says there's no good painters in town. And people internalize that dialogue and they believe it. The only place worse than getting advice at the paint store is probably Facebook groups full of painters. Well, why is that? Now, if you want to take technical advice from the store manager or the reps, fine. That's a good way to make sure you're putting the right product on the right service and prepping it the right way. I'm not talking about technical advice. I'm talking about business advice of any description. And why is the advice in painters groups and why is the advice at the paint store so bad? I'll tell you why. So I asked ChatGTP to give me some metrics on the painting industry in general. And here they are. As of 2025, there are 244,000 painting businesses. Okay. And what we discover is that the average company size of those businesses is 1.3 to 1.4 employees. That means that folks that have been in this industry 5, 10, 20, 30 years are so bad at building a business that on average, they can't scale up to 2 people. The lack of business acumen you have to have in order to not be able to scale up to 2 or 3 people is that's monumentally interesting, right? So there's a good chance that on average, when you're talking to someone, they're not doing well, and it's not just that they can't scale their company. You're like, well, it's just 1 or 2 people. 1 or 2 people can make a lot of money. Well, I guess they could, but here's what it looks like: the average annual wage for painters and paper hangers is $40,000, $300.37. It's less than a school teacher. Self-employed, here's the good one: self-employed incorporated painters across the industry have a median income of 50 grand, 3,447. So that means the owners of the businesses are somehow only making about 10 grand more than the painters they employ. While unincorporated are around $23,000. And so 88% of industry revenue comes from businesses with fewer than 12 employees. So the issue is this: when you are asking advice about how to run your business, this is how you get good advice. Number one, there needs to be some semblance of success with this contractor. They should have scaled at least a little. There should be perhaps a sign or two of financial success in their homes, their cars, if you know them well enough, how they raise and rear their children, all that kind of stuff. But even then, it can be misleading. I know it can be misleading because I have been at industry events where I watch people present from the stage, and I have done diagnostics and looked at their financials, and they're giving advice from the front of the stage, and it is bad advice, and their financials are awful, and they're not making any money, and they're covered up in debt, but they've got big personalities, and they're engaged and involved, and people don't know that what they are glibly telling folks is what has led to their bad financial state. So there are 2 things you need. Number one is you need some kind of sign of success. Number two, uh, the only way that you can really know that you're getting good advice from somebody that has gotten where you want to get is if there's some transparency in the metrics. And we do this in peer groups at the Painters Academy. And so I never invite anyone to speak at any of our events unless I have looked at their financials to see if their business is in good shape, because I don't want folks reinforcing bad ideas, bad opinions. And you see that all the time. It's one of the chief reasons I quit commenting in any painters chat rooms, because you could put the most proven best practice advice, something very simple and indisputable, as a comment, And about 80% of the painters would disagree with you because they don't do it that way. And it's because, and the fact that they don't do it that way is the reason they're poor. Because everything in your painting business has to be done a certain way, using best practices if you're going to get the optimal result. And so if you're going to take advice, don't take it from the paint store. Don't take it from the painters chat group. Get in a group of painters where there is transparency regarding the metrics so you can understand that the advice you're getting from your peers is valid and it is sound. In closing, what I see very often, generally speaking, when painting contractors get together and they're not at the higher levels, and frankly, I even see it in industry events. And I think the mindset is so ubiquitous that it like creeps into people, and I think sometimes it takes them a while to shed it. Is that it's bad behavior reinforcing bad behavior? It's no different than uh, if your family member is getting in a lot of trouble, not running their life right. Well, typically, if you look at the friends and the folks that they associate with, they're doing the same things most of the time, not always. So don't take advice at the paint store. Don't ask advice at the paint store. Don't ask advice in painters' Facebook groups. You will get almost exclusively bad advice. If you want to ask for technical advice at the store, by all means, knock yourself out. It's a good place to do it. But for business advice, If you need some business advice from someone who has walked the walk and talked the talk for 15 plus 16 years in this industry now, I'd be happy to talk to you. Brandon at paintersacademy.com. You can call 423-800-0520, or feel free to go to paintersacademy.com and simply download one of our many free resources. If you found the content of this channel helpful, please do click the subscribe button, leave a comment. Until next time, it's Brandon Lewis saying, make sure you're taking advice from the right places. Take care.